everybody. Dan Illman, Mike here, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, August the 16th, race number 8 at Saratoga. We're going 1 mile and a 16th on the inner turf. These are New York-bred 3-year-old fillies in the Suzie O'Kane Stakes. Let's take a peek at this field. Please scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile, which includes free formulator past performances. The number 10, Amanda's Folly. The number 11, Ichiban. They're entered main track only. There's a very good chance they could get in, Mike.
Yeah, weather hasn't cooperated every day so far up in Saratoga. Hopefully this race will manage to stay on the turf, Dan, because this is a pretty good race on the grass with a field of 9.
We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and our friends at Timeform US are expecting a fast pace. The number 1, Kosuke, showed good speed last time out. She draws inside under Jose Ortiz and should be forwardly placed. Collaboration seems like a horse that likes to be aggressive early. I think this time around they're taking Smoky Eyes back. We know Clement likes to get him covered up, and here's a perfect opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that's probably true. I didn't necessarily see Smoky Eyes contesting this pace early, especially if it's fast. Kosuke's just got a great post on the rail. I think she's going to go. And, I guess we'll see what happens with Collaboration, Dan. She's got a little bit of talent. She likes to be forward, but she does not need the lead. So even if she is right up there, I don't think they're going to be going that fast.
If this pace is fast, it could set things up for the 4, Burnt Again. Note the LP flag over her chiclet. That indicates she has the fastest late pace rating from Timeform US. Let's start things off with the number 1, Kosuke. She is very lightly raced. She still retains some upside potential, and she has shown some ability in her 3-race career. She's hit the board in all 3 of her starts. She showed speed last time out, but Silver Skillet ran right by her, and she's going to have to improve off that performance.
Yeah, she is. The pace was solid in that race too, Dan, but Silver Skillet was right up there with her the entire way, and Silver Skillet was just the better horse of the two. I thought Kosuke ran fine in there. I actually feel like she's run fine in all 3 of her starts, and she has a great post for this race. It's also at least worth pointing out, whether you care about this stuff or not, she's been ridden by a 5-pound apprentice in her first 3 starts. Jose Ortiz takes the mount here. It's a big rider upgrade.
I really think the number 2, Smoky Eyes, is going to run a lot better in this spot. Irad Ortiz Jr. picks up the mount for trainer Christophe Clement. She was multiple stakes placed against open competition as a 2-year-old, and I just think she has excuses for both of her races this year. 1 race on dirt, not interested in that, and then last time out, she was very aggressively ridden on the pace throughout, and she tired. She showed in that Tepin last year over a very wet turf course that she could raid inside and finish, and I think that's what's going to happen here.
I think that's probably true. I would just point out that at the time of year when that Tepin was run at Aqueduct, that was a time when you wanted to be on the inside in the Aqueduct turf courses. She just sat on the rail the entire way and picked up some pieces late. Do with that information what you will. She was okay as a 2-year-old. I personally don't love her first turf start this year. Yeah, they got more aggressive with her. They put her on the lead. Collaboration was right up there with her. This horse was no match in that race. I was unsure how good she was as a 2-year-old. I don't like the way that she's come back so far this year. 6-1 on the morning line is not for me. And if Irad's riding, that probably means that's about the price you're going to have to take. If she drifted way off of that, maybe I'd reconsider her.
The 3 is I'm Just Kidding. They tried open stakes competition with her 2 starts back, and she pulled very hard in the early stages of that Wild Applause, and she tired in the stretch, and they didn't beat up on her once she was beaten. They dropped her into a state-bred second-level allowance last time out at Saratoga, and she was able to settle a little bit better, Mike. The pace was fast. She came with sort of an even kick in the stretch, but just didn't do too much. She's going to have to do better for John Kimmel.
Yeah, another one, I'm not really sure how good I think she is. She's run some decent races, though, Dan. I will just say about her most recent start, I don't think it was a great performance, but, man, did she get caught. She broke from the far outside post that day. She was caught wide around the first turn. She was caught wide around the second turn, and that was a race that had a real inside flow to it. The first 4 finishers all saved a bunch of ground and then ran on through the stretch. So maybe that's an excuse for her, Dan. She's got a lot to prove here, but she's going to be a fair price in this race, and I don't think she's overmatched.
Timeform US believes the best late runner is the number 4, Burnt Again, who's been in very good form for trainer Dominic Schettino. A couple of wins for a tag, and then a rallying second last time out in the New York Stallion Series behind Orange Freeze, who's also in that race. A notable aspect of the New York Stallion Series, however, was that it was a very fast pace, and Orange Freeze did get the jump on Burnt Again with a wide move on the turn.
That's true. She's not the best closer in the race, at least in my opinion. But we'll see how that all plays out. If nothing else, she was underrated as a 2-year. She started out on turf as a 2-year-old and didn't win any of those races. Didn't even really come that close. But I thought she was actually underrated in those performances. Ran better than it looks in a couple of them. Her form this year is fine. It's against much weaker horses than this.
Let's take a look at the 5 Silver Skillet's recent victory up at Saratoga, going a mile on the inner. She was forwardly placed from the start. She went right after the pace setter Kosuke. She runs right by her in upper stretch, and she's able to hold sway down to the wire. There was a lot going on going into the first turn behind her. Horses being forced wide. Silver Skillet got a great trip in this race, and there's really only one horse. That's the runner-up Waterville closing at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And Waterville's just not that good. But I just thought outside of that, Dan, this horse just did everything right in that race. She kept right after what was a solid pace. She was clearly best when she took over in the stretch and was always going to hold on at the end. I thought it was a good performance, especially when you take into account her turf debut. 2 starts back, she ran great that day and just missed with a late surge before galloping out well in front of that field. She was okay on dirt. She's better on turf. She's the horse to beat.
A horse that made a successful career debut is up next. That is the number 6, Thundara, who had to overcome post position 12 in a big, bulky field in her debut. Let's watch Thundara take care of business against a group of $40,000 maiden claimers. She's going to get to the outside here in the stretch, and once she makes the lead, she finishes it off with a nice run. Very professional for a first-time starter.
Yeah, I like the way she finishes too. She's still a little green in this race. She's going to start shifting to the outside here. There's a horse coming up the rail. She's going to drift back over to the inside, but she's still running, and she just doesn't really give these horses any chance. Then I know it was a maiden 40. I thought she ran really, really well in that race. She has a nice pedigree behind her. They're going to take a little bit of a shot here and move her up into a stakes race. I'm not so sure that she can't win this race. I don't think she's in over her head.
Orange Free successfully made the move from $40,000 maiden claimer to stakes winner last time out. She scored for Clement Tubac in that maiden selling race, was taken by the Morey barn, and then got a great pace set up to win one of the New York Stallion Series events. That being said, she made a very strong 4-wide move on the second turn, lost a lot of ground, and then just runs over this exhausted 2-to-1 shot Ms. Big Bucks in the stretch.
Yeah, this is a good performance, and she's obviously starting to put things together here. It took a little class relief for her to finally start doing it. But I can't really knock either of her last 2 races, Dan. She looked good to me winning both times. I do think that this field is a lot stronger than the one that we just watched her win right there. But I won't be surprised if she improves again.
Collaboration looked good 2 starts back, scoring by 2 lengths in a first-level New York bred allowance, and then last time out was just sort of cooked on the early pace. I thought, all in all, she didn't tire as badly as some of the other horses that were close to the pace in that race. Maybe the wet turf course didn't help, but there's a chance for rain once again. I do like her early speed. You obviously have to respect these connections.
Yeah, I think she'll get a good trip in this race as well. Again, that's the race that we were talking about earlier, Dan. That just felt like a real inside kind of a race, and she stalked on the outside the entire way. Maybe that's not a huge excuse for her, but it might be something to at least consider, because her win 2 starts back was really nice. I mean, she won that race very easily. The start before that, back at the end of May, where she was disqualified for bumping I'm Just Kidding in the stretch, she was much the best that day. She really did give I'm Just Kidding a bump in the stretch there, but that horse was never going by her. I think this filly's pretty good. I think she could rebound very strongly in this race.
Snowy Evening is the number 9. She's in pretty good form right now for trainer David Donk. John Velasquez is going to take them out. No match for Collaboration, however, 2 starts back when they stretched her out going 1 1/8. She made a move outside of Collaboration, turning into the stretch, and just could not keep up in the lane. Snowy Evening's her last race was okay. If the pace is fast, I would expect her to come with a kick. I'm just thinking Johnny V is going to sort of drop her inside and try to make one run from the back.
That's what I thought. We'll see. I mean, her overall form's not terrible. I don't know if it's good enough to beat this field if everybody else shows up to her inside, but she's run some good races. Donk's struggling a little bit at this meet, Dan, but you know that he can win races. I don't know. I think she's a little bit interesting at a big price.
And then we've got a couple of horses on the main track only list. The 10, Amanda's Folly, a 4-time winner, and the 11, Ichi Ban. Not number 1 in this race. She is Juichi, Number 11 entered main track only. She would be seeking her third win in a row. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Suzie O'Kane. We're hoping this race stays on the turf. You're going with Thundara. She has got a lot of upside. She looked good in that debut. She's still learning.
She is. I liked her debut. I'm going to give her a chance in here, Dan, at what is supposed to be a really nice price. I thought Silver Skillet was the horse to beat. I just didn't really want to take her on top at a short price.
I'm going to go back to Orange Freeze. As you mentioned, I think that she's putting things together. The pace should be solid for her. I like the way she ran over that field last time out with a good setup, and we'll see. Once again, the number 5 might take the money in here. I think that's the horse to beat Silver Skillet. We'll try to beat her with a couple of closers. Mike's going 6-5-8-1. I'm going 7-5-2-1. Best of luck.